Alright, YouTube, I'm going to fix that. As part of the crash damage on my maiden flight, because I was being stupid, I had a little bite out of the canopy that was ejected, evidently probably into the prop. And that was the only thing I chose not to fix. But then I'm thinking, yeah, this thing's brand new, I'm going to fix it. So the way I was going to fix this was one of a couple of different ways. First of all, this foam, this is a piece out of one of the UMX molds. This is goes over the tail of the plane. So I like to try to use the same material. If that doesn't work, we'll use cotton. And cotton is easier to shape. Okay, so what we're going to use for this video is some propane and this little starter / torch. Now this is not one of your hotter torches, so it works good for this, because you can heat stuff up a little bit less fast. If you get one of the hotter torches, then you'll just melt stuff. And you can turn this way low, which is nice. So anyway, we'll link to that so you guys can buy that for yourself, or you could buy it on your own anyway. But you guys see that weird nostril? I actually don't mind it, but I just kind of feel bad leaving you guys hanging if you're looking to me for awesome ideas on repairs. Okay, so I just cut that shape. It's going to be, what you're going to want to do is probably start with the shape of the recess, the damage point. That's pretty close. We need to take a little bit more off of there. So I'm actually just going to leave this torch going. One thing to keep in mind is if you have anything above there, I always put my hand up and I say, okay, is that warm? Yeah, that's warm. It's not going to catch anything on fire. That's pretty hot. So you just want to know your safe distance. The other thing is, keep in mind, if you run this for too long, you'll eventually run out of air to breathe. So be careful. Don't do stupid things. You could probably burn this whole canister. I bet it wouldn't even change the air quality, to be honest. I mean, look at me, I'm normal. Alright, so that fits fairly close. And you see, I've just got a piece that's large enough to cover into the whole opening. Okay, now I'm just going to squish it to get the fine-tuned details with my fingers, not with the other piece of foam. Okay, so now it's ready to glue. Okay. So I should be done cutting for a second, so I'll put this out of the way. This is just one of my mini X-Acto knives. I use it as a hot blade, and then I use these 20,000 shims when I'm trying to make bigger cuts. We'll use, I've noticed my thin CA is not as thin as I would like it to be anymore. This stuff is really thin when it's new. I don't know if it's just cold or what the deal is, but okay, so we got that on there. Now this time I want it to stick fairly quick, so I'm actually going to apply some accelerant, some kicker. This is BSI, Bob Smith Industries, and so is that. And I really like the stuff, and I would highly recommend it. As usual, we link to it if you can't find it, which amazes me that can't be found, but still. If you buy it from our affiliate links, then you'll support our channel, so thank you for that. Okay, so that's stuck in there good. I mean, I'm holding it tight, okay? So tight that a little bit of the glue got on me, but luckily it bonded between the filler hole, or the filler. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to just kind of mimic the outside dimensions. So this, we're done with this. We don't need any more of that. We shouldn't need any more glue. We might glue over the surface when we're done, and then just put a little kicker to make a kind of a shell, strengthen that area, because it's gonna get beat up. Pulling this thing on and off, I'm not looking forward to the damage it's gonna cause. Okay, so that's done. So now we can go back to our cutting tool. Now this is an artistic thing. It's not like, you know, measure to 1 inch and cut. I mean, you just kind of have to eyeball it. Don't get your blade too hot for this. We've already got that shape pretty close. cut above where your cut needs to be, okay? Because you're going to lose a little bit of material from as it sinks back, okay? And as you get material built up on there, just wipe it with a clean paper towel. Okay? See how I'm just wiping away the material? I'm not even having to push any pressure at all. It just melts it, so. Wait until you're close to take away the material at the bottom, because that stuff provides some strength for you as you're working. Kind of holds things intact. Now, if you really wanted to, you could sand. I wouldn't sand. It'll make a bad finish. Okay, so 2 of my glue is just a funny little detail. I had some sea on there. They're trying to glue together while I was doing that. That was awesome. Ooh. See, guys? I got right to where I need to be now. So now the last little bit, what I was going to say is you can actually just squish it, but your finish won't be as good. So many times I'll use cotton to do this because the cotton will fill and it will become hard. So then it's a protected area again. And yes, it does matter which side you heat of your blade, depending on how you do this. Okay? You see, we have the basic outside dimension. We need to trim just a little bit on the face there, because this nose drops down a little bit further. Okay? And make no mistake, guys, these molds, they're pretty good, but they're not perfect anyway, so however many imperfections that I leave are probably considerably similar to the imperfections that would have been in the mold anyway. And you can get really anal about this and fill it with fillers and different things. My filler is going to end up being the CA that goes over the top. So now I need to cut to mimic this relief. First, the bottom needs to come up a little bit. Okay, there we go. It's always easier to do this on a plane where you know you can get parts. Because if you really screw the pooch on it, you can just go buy the part. But I hope not to have to buy this part. Okay, now I'm going to go right into the center. This is a straight blade. In fact, I'm going to switch tools. So I'm going to go to something round, like a drill bit, and I'm going to go about half the size of the hole, okay? That's pretty close to half. Now, why half? Because it's going to shrink, guys. So this is one of those times where you want to be careful to work fairly quick. Don't overheat the bit. Let's heat it a little bit. Let's test it. Okay? A little bit more. Okay. Now we're going to heat the bit and wipe it off so that it's clean and ready for use next time for whatever we're actually drilling. Now I'm going to take it while it's warm and just clean the hole up a little bit. Okay, so now I need to trim the nose a little teeny bit more with a hot blade. Nice and hot this time. Okay, so looks like the material might have shrunk back a little bit more than I wanted right there, but I think we'll be okay. So we'll just put these tools away where they belong, and then we can jump right into the CA. Which might not be a good idea to jump into a CA, but... Now, if you wanted to, you could try to color this now, but I would recommend against coloring it now because it's going to run. Knowing that the color is black, it's going to tend to run really bad. Okay, so I'm overlapping into the good portion just a little bit, okay? Now this is foam safe. If you used standard not foam safe, you will not like the outcome. You're going to have a lot more than this little damage spot. So now, why a cotton swab, Brian? Well, the rationale behind a cotton swab is twofold. One, it does accelerate the curing process a little bit without being kicker. Okay, kicker is a little bit aggressive for this thin stuff here. And you can see it melted through right there. Undesirable side effect. We're going to probably take care of that with a little bit of cotton because it's just so thin. It's not going to be really easy to get that last little bit. Okay, so you've already got CA applied. So now you can just take a little teeny bit of this cotton and then just wrap the edge. Okay, just like that. I'm just sticking it into the CA that's sort of still tacky. Okay. And believe it or not, you can actually shape that too, but you got to be careful. In a high visibility area like this, I probably wouldn't shape it much with heat, but you can. Okay, so you can see we've got a little bit more thickness than we need because this is going to shrink down a little bit. It's not really shrinking. I shouldn't say shrinking, but it's going to soak in and it gets a little bit tighter as it cures and sets up, okay? Now I'm going to get another Q-tip. These Q-tips, you're going to burn through them like crazy doing stuff like this. Now I'm just pressing very gently to try to manipulate those fibers into the shape that we exactly want, with the understanding that we don't want the Q-tip that's on this thing to become part of the filler. So you have to kind of control the pressure. But this is going to be almost like a fiberglass nose now. Okay, so you see how our opening is not exactly true or perfect, but it's a little bit closer mimic to the other side, okay? Now I'm just going to touch it with my finger to try to get that shape. Kind of pushing up on it toward us. Try to mimic that shape. Okay. So now we're just going to evaluate the shape and see if it's close enough for our taste. In my case, I would say that it's close enough for our taste. Is it better than it was when we started? Ah, dang it, I got CA on the hood. Hate it when that happens. That's super annoying. The good news is it's black, so it's easy to touch that stuff up. Now, I did that different than usual, guys. You notice I didn't spray it right on. I used it to rub it with a clean paper towel. And the reason I use the clean paper towel to do that is because I can rub the fibers over to one side. Okay? That is super annoying. Super, super, super annoying. I'm going to get another actual clean paper towel. Spray a couple sprays on there. I'm touching my fingers to make sure that they don't have any uncured CA on them. Okay, now I'm going to come back through and wipe this. If I really wanted to fix this totally, I'd probably want to paint the whole surface altogether anyway. But you'll notice now we have material there that can be painted. So let's cap everything off. And the last step is going to be quite simple. It's going to be to touch up. It's going to be to touch up the black finish. Okay, and there's more than one way to skin this cat. But now that it's doled up, because I did that on purpose with the kicker, I can take and either leave it all dull, or I can try to clean it back to the shine that I like, or I can use this handy dandy flat black paint. Before we use the paint, let's try the marker, just see if it matches good. See this little straight line? We're probably going to have a hard time duplicating that exact straight line. Ooh, and you see this, how it's not totally square? That's something we will fix right now. We're going to take one of our 20,000 shims, a little easier to control the heat this way. We're going to heat in the middle, a really clean spot on it. Not too hot, but just a little bit of heat. Okay, now watch this. Ooh, look at that. The magnet tried to pick it up. Just try to touch the spot where the cotton is. Okay? Good. Got it. Now it's flat. Awesome. That worked about the way I expected it to, but that magnet tried to hang on to it, guys. That was a little scary. Oh, yeah, that was weird. Wasn't expecting the magnet to grab it like that, but it did. Okay, so marker first. Trying for a nice straight line. And then we're going to see if that color is a good enough match. And then we're actually going to take and touch up the inside of this factory paint job too while we're at it. Looks pretty decent actually. I don't think I want to deal with the paint. The paint's just going to add weight. This won't deteriorate quite as good as the paint over time, you know, with UV radiation and stuff. But I think it's satisfactory. I mean, the results are good. I don't want to overdo it with paint, so I think that's probably where we're going to leave it. Let's go take a look at how that looks on the plane now. Could use a little bit less material here. Let's get that first before we move on. Hot blade. Remember, this time we're not going to go so crazy. Grab your paper towel, wipe it, then come in for the smooth. Not enough heat. And you can just push it down. And if you have enough control over it, you can actually do a really nice job of shaping that last little teeny bit. I need it hotter though, a lot hotter. See, I'm getting it glowing now. Make sure you don't touch your foam with that. It'll melt the whole nose off. Okay, so now that's one other thing you run into is when you're trying to heat this stuff significantly like that, is it can sometimes turn to char. So you'll heat up your stick again, wipe it clean, and go in for the kill shot. See that, guys? Now we've got that really finite, tight line that we're looking for. And so the way, now as you look from the top, it's got that nice taper to it instead of that bump that we were seeing. And that's actually very strong and sturdy now. And the last step, unfortunately, we'll just do a little touch up with some white paint. I don't like to have to touch up white paint, but it's just part of the, you know, it's like I said earlier, the easiest way is to not crash your planes. But it's such a reality of screwing around with these little ultra micros. You're bound to make a mistake here and there. Okay, so I don't even hardly need any, so I'll just use a mixing stick to grab some of that out. Trying to get the focus right, guys. Okay. Now we let that sit and dry. Cap our paint back off. which incidentally, I'll show you the color of this paint. This is just a Model Masters white, Model Masters flat white, FS 37875. It's enamel. So if you're wanting to get that, that's a really nice match for foam to kind of get that bright white foam color. I'm sure you could match it with other whites, but that's just kind of the one that seems to work for me. Now I've got this excess amount of paint. Just going to take this Q-tip and just kind of dab it. This would be what I would call like blending to make it look more like the foam. Just kind of roll over it a little bit. There you go. There, you're done now. Okay, so we've got the canopy hood fixed. Trying to give you guys a good white background so you can see. And believe it or not, that thing took 22 minutes to do. And I could have just as well left it. To be honest, it would have been fine. I would have been happy with it. But the thing is, I figured, you know, you guys watching probably want to see it right. So let's drop this into place. It's just like, you know, it's not perfect, but it looks pretty good. You're not going to ever notice while it's flying, that's for sure. But guys, thanks for watching. We're going to be crashing it again here shortly. I mean, flying it again. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Come back for more. Look at our affiliate links below if you want to buy the stuff I'm using.